There we go. Oh, yeah.
Is there like music playing or something that I should be waiting for?
No music.
Oh.
We're just we do got to work on that opening video.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Very anticlimactic.
I know. Yeah. It's very, what's the what's the opposite of anticlimactic? It's anti.
Climactic?
Starting. What's starting?
Oh, I don't know.
Introductory. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the opposite is there. I know what you're going for. I know where you're going with this.
Opposite.
I was going to say the opposite of anticlimactic is climactic, but that's not what you're...
Right. No, you're trying.
Antonym for
you're talking about
anticlimactic
positionally.
is effective.
This is a perfect
expedient,
use of
profit.
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if streaming to X works this time.
All right.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Or you could just not.
True. Yeah.
So it looks like you appear in the... Yeah, it's working. Okay, so it was an issue with StreamYard that day. I will let Jeff Jarvis know because he was wondering about that too for tomorrow. Yeah, I'm like... I think I'm gonna clear out my Twitter account and just
Oh wow, you're just gonna
empty it. I don't know. I'm feeling weird, dude.
Hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
I'm feeling real weird about the Twitter thing.
I'm keeping my account active because I need it for work.
Right.
And that is literally the only reason.
I protected mine just because I want to squat my name, but I'll probably delete stuff eventually because I think actually on November 15th they started using AI. They're going to use the public tweets for AI data sets.
For training.
Yeah, for training. So yeah.
Cool.
I have not deleted all my tweets. I probably will not delete all my tweets because I'm lazy. But
yeah, I know. That's why I keep not doing it too.
I
literally, I'm lazy. I just have too much to do.
I feel like it would be a public disservice if I did because a lot of my tweets are literally cited
They're
and like embedded in articles.
That's true.
I literally go back all the time.
You would actually
search
screw up
through
a
my
lot of publications if you deleted your Twitter archive. But
and I search through Twitter all the time. Like the search, I feel like it's degraded a lot, but I still find a lot of old posts that I wrote about like certain
It's
topics.
like your database.
Yeah, it is my database of old content.
I go on and once a month I post screw Elon just to make sure he doesn't shut down my account, and then so it shows activity. So technically, I guess I am a monthly active user, but it's literally once a month.
Sure, some product person appreciates your data point, Adam.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Are you on Bluesky, Adam?
I am on Blue Sky and Threads. I was on Threads, and funny enough, my last post on Blue Sky was the day that Threads got activated. But since everybody started migrating over to Blue Sky, I guess I'm going to go that way. I don't know. It's stupid. It's all stupid. Everything's stupid. We're fine.
Everything's stupid. Everything's not awesome.
Can that be the title of this show? Everything's stupid. Let's get the vote going.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry to those who are watching us on X right now as we.
I know. Well, I mean, yeah.
Leaving it, but...
we're on X right now. Okay,
yeah, on
everybody
Michelle's
leave. Everybody go home.
It's the end of Ferris Bueller. You're still here? Go home.
Vote with your wallet. Go home. See you over on Threads or Mastodon if you hate life.
Adam, do you have like an audio, like a physical hardware audio interface with a gain knob on it?
No.
Okay, so maybe it's...
Why am I loud?
Well, just when you do get loud, it distorts, and
when you get loud, you get loud.
When you talk normal, it doesn't distort, which but
lower his level on StreamYard.
That's what I'm doing, but it's always good to get it at the source because sometimes the distortion comes at the source.
Right.
Later down the chain.
Yeah. No.
But we'll see.
This is direct to USB-C, so I've got a knob here. I don't think it does anything though.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then bringing it down to StreamYard should probably be okay.
Yeah.
It's literally as low as it goes on the microphone, so I don't even know what that knob does. I'll be honest.
Hello,
I'll just stay back here and I'll be fine.
can't go any lower. Oh, whoa. I just got static electricity shock.
Ooh, you shocked yourself?
Yeah. Something about rubbing up against the wall. I won't do that again.
Okay,
No more of
Showbot
that.
needs a kick. I know how to do that. Let me find that. Let me dig that back up.
Do you use your left foot or your right foot for that?
Ha 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 ha.
I'm serious. And are you worried that it might seek retribution since it is a robot after all?
Let's see if this works.
It's kind of neat that we can see like where people are watching from.
How low can it go?
All right. I've reset Showbot myself. Look at that.
You did it! Welcome back, Win. You did it too. Although we can't hear you.
You're muted,
Win
Win.
is muted.
The audio interface I had to use since my other one died is plugged into both my monitors and my headphone. Well, it has both. So when I unplug my headphones, the monitors go on. So I had to mute you guys so you didn't get feedbackies or something. I don't know.
Whoa! Yeah.
My neighbors would love that so much. I actually did create an alarmingly loud feedback once, and my husband ran up. I was like, "Are you okay?" Like, what was that? The aliens came. I avoided them, but
Well done.
All right. Well,
okay.
now that we've talked about everything other than Android, should we talk about Android?
Yeah, if we must.
Let's do it.
We talk about iOS.
Can we talk about Can we talk
about how Google needs to give us a break and all the news?
It just never stops. It never stops.
No, I was gonna say, can we talk about Google bringing Google Drive to ARM? You know, it's one last non-Android thing that we could talk about.
Talk to me when Discord releases a native client, because have you tried their app on Windows on ARM? It is atrocious. I mean, it's literally just an Electron app, so it's emulating it, but like it performs so badly.
I hadn't noticed anything, but all right. I use Discord on ARM.
Really?
But-
Okay, it runs like crap for me.
Okay, duly noted. But yeah,
It's personal, Mishaal. ARM doesn't like your coverage.
can we talk about Michelle's dead fridge?
I'd rather not. My takeaway from this is I am never buying another LG fridge.
Oh, how old is it? Now we're talking about it. How old?
Less than 5 years old.
Oh,
That's
boy.
how bad. That's really
That's
bad.
no good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fridges should not die within 5 years. And apparently
No,
this is a
heck
known
no.
widespread problem with their linear compressors. Like they've even had settle class action lawsuits and all that stuff over it. And I'm just learning all about this now.
Yeah, of course. Of course. That sucks. Sorry.
Yeah. R.I.P. Your fridge
Yeah.
and your ice cream.
Okay. Now we can start because we talked about the refrigerator. We good to go?
Let's
Everybody?
do it.
I thought we were
Good
going
place.
already. I don't know what you guys are doing.
We're always
It's a new-
going. It's
It's the new
nonstop.
style of this show. We just talk around Android. We never actually talk about it.
It's Android. It's Android adjacent.
That would be a good holiday episode as we fire up. All right, we've got a great story for you. But before we get there, did you know? Well, we just never get there, and finally at the end of like 45 minutes, we're like, "All right, everybody, thank you for listening."
Peace out. All right. It's an ambitious model, but I say we try it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, we will but one episode at a time. I'm going to go ahead and remove you
Right.
from the stage. Do not take it personally, Adam, but you're gone. You two, Mishaal, get out of here. You two,
I will take
Ron,
it personally.
leave.
No, don't take. Oh,
No, you're staying.
okay.
You're the good one.
Oh shit! I'm doing this. Okay, yeah, I'm staying. I'm
See
staying.
me,
I'm
I
here.
suck too. So I'm gonna take my camera off.
There's a lot going on in this video. Here's a summary of what I heard. Someone is being removed from the stage. People are being asked to leave. There's a disagreement about who is the good one. Can you provide more context? That will help me give a better answer.
Gemini, you're so awesome. Thank you for listening, but I don't need you right now, okay? So go away. Okay, that was pretty funny. Okay, stand by, everybody. because we're going to do a show now. Gemini approves. Here we go.
Hey, welcome to Android Faithful, your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the world of Android. I am one of the good ones. I'm Huyen Tue Dao.
You're the only good one. I'm Jason Howell.
I hope I'm good. I'm Ron Richards.
We're all the good ones.
And I'm Mishaal Rahman.
No, none of you are good. I'm
Wow.
not even good. It's only Win. Win is the only good one.
Well,
Mishaal, we know what
The only
did.
one on Santa's nice list this year. The rest of us are not getting presents.
Yeah, we're getting coal.
well, I don't know.
Christmas.
I think compared to our very special guest this evening, I might actually be one of the coal having persons because I know that Santa always has something really great in his sack of goodies for our lovely guest, Adam Doud.
Speaking of sacks of goodies, how you all doing?
Oh, well then. Hello.
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir. Welcome back to the show, to the program.
Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here, and I'm representing. I'm wearing the
Nice.
shirt
Aw.
that I
very
ordered
cool.
on the air last time. So.
Well, that's probably a
Well,
good
thank you.
segue because, as promised last week, we got a new T-shirt to share with you, everybody. Straight from the mouth of Miss Wynn herself. It is the official Android Faithful Leaky Peeky T-shirt.
Leaky peeky.
Peeky peekies. I
this-
didn't
the
vomit the shirt into existence.
The Leaky Peeky shirt exists, and it is up and available on Threadless right now. You can purchase this lovely design
at
featuring
that.
a sneaky spy peering
Sneaky
over the
dinky
words Leaky Peeky with a bug droid and some schematics and the good old Android Faithful logo on there. We hope everybody likes this T-shirt. We figured for the holidays, it was just in time to get this out there. So if your loved one is an Android fan, get them the Leaky Peeky shirt. Or you're listening to the show, get it for yourself. Give yourself a gift. Every day, give yourself a gift. That's what that's what Special Agent Cooper said. Go to Android Faithful. Go to AndroidFaithful.threadless.com and you can get the new Leaky Peeky T-shirt.
This is such an inside joke.
It is, but that's the thing, right? That's, of all the catchphrases, right? Like, Wynn, how do you feel about having
Love it.
your own catchphrase T-shirt created?
I love it. I love it. I love it because so many times I say stupid or silly things on this show and it ends up as a show title. This just feels like the culmination of that.
Yep.
Just because
Being
I feel the need to
validated.
rhyme things.
Yep.
So yes, I'm very honored. I'm
Leaky
very honored.
Peeky in
I feel like
real
we got to
life.
make it official now. Whenever we talk about leaks, we got to talk about it like we're getting a little leaky peeky segment.
You know,
Yeah.
First
you,
look.
you say that, but I've tried that a couple of times, and it always comes out awkward. For it's like when
The only one who pulls it off is Win.
Pull it off.
Yes, for whatever reason, she's got the leaky peeky skills. So
I mean, for what it's worth, I love it when y'all say it. It makes me happy. So that for what
Yeah.
it's worth, it
We
makes
just
me
need
happy.
to normalize it. We'll just keep saying it.
Exactly.
We'll push through the
Exactly.
Nintendo. You know, when the Nintendo Wii was a new thing, everybody was fixated on Wii, and it was weird for a long time until suddenly it was less weird. Yeah, but still weird.
I will tell you that in prepping this shirt, the number of times I misspelled leaky or peaky because I was transposing the EA in both words. So I'd write LEEKY, PEK, you know, I'd do peaky, PE, like a peak of a mountain peaky. It was very, very confusing. So, but I think I got it right in all the marketing materials. So
You got it. That's great. Love it.
cool.
Yeah.
We'll remove that. Should we get started with some news because we actually have a lot this week. Which
Yeah,
is so
Google doesn't
weird,
give us a
so
break.
different. It's so different from the
Yeah.
previous weeks where we have to talk about.
Yeah, so I mean, right off the bat, a couple of months ahead of schedule, Google has released Android 16 Developer Preview 1. So this isn't that surprising considering
just-
Google already confirmed, and we did an exclusive interview with Matthew McCullough and Xiaomi Chow about Google moving up the Android 16 release schedule. So given that Android 16 is going to be releasing in Q2 of next year instead of Q3 as they usually do, it kind of makes sense that we're getting a developer preview now, considering, you know, we're going to have the actual stable release a couple of months earlier than usual. So what is new in the developer preview? Of course, this is a developer preview, which means that it's aimed at developers, so you cannot install it by enrolling in the Android 16 beta program, because there isn't a beta program yet. But this is only the first developer preview. There's going to be a second one in December, followed by 4 betas, one in January, one in February, one in March, and one in April. The third beta will be the platform stability release. That'll include all the final APIs and app-facing behavior changes. So right now, Google's only giving us like a sneak peek at a leaky peeky, as you might say, and what to expect.
Peeky?
Sneaky peeky at what's new in Android 16. So Google's official blog post didn't really reveal much about Android 16 DP1. They did confirm that it has some new Health Connect features, including the ability for apps to read and write medical records in the FHIR format, which is basically a standardized format for electronic health records, like hospitals to share information with one another. So you can store things like your immunization records, your lab results, medications in Health Connect. They also introduced a new embedded photo picker API that allows applications to embed the photo picker directly inside of them instead of opening it up in like a separate window. They also introduced a new version of the privacy sandbox feature, though Google didn't really mention anything was actually new. And finally, one surprising thing about the Android 16 Developer Preview 1 is that it's available for the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro, which is nice because those phones were only guaranteed to receive OS updates until at least October 2024, because that's 3 years after they were released. They were released in October of 2021. So Google only guaranteed they would give 3 generations of OS updates. So there was some there was some concern, will they roll out Android 16? Will they roll out Android 17 maybe? Considering there's still 2 years left of updates for those devices, because they're guaranteed to get security updates for 5 years. But it looks like both devices will receive Android 16, at least judging by the fact that they're receiving the developer preview. Kind of doesn't make sense for them to release a developer preview for an update they're not going to get eventually in the future. So hopefully that does pan out, and both devices, as well as this Pixel 6a, receive Android 16 next year.
Yeah, that guarantee doesn't mean that they're gonna not do it. It just means that it's like they're saying we'll do it minimum.
That's their minimum,
right? Yeah. So it's nice to see them going above the minimum, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Be surprised if they go above the minimum on the 7-year update, but I suppose you never know. But yeah, at the 5-year, that's a nice little extra. Either that or they're trolling hard. Like, sure, you can test it out, but that's as close as you get.
You don't get to have it, though.
Yeah, you don't get to have it. Cool.
You know what else is nice?
Yeah.
In Android 16 DP1, new features that Google doesn't bother mentioning in their blog posts, because as always, there are some changes that weren't mentioned in the blog post that we have to actually dig up by installing the update on our own Pixel. And 2 of the biggest new features that are available for users if you install it on your device are audio sharing is the first one. This is a feature that allows you to basically broadcast audio from your Pixel phone to many nearby devices over Bluetooth LE audio. And this is a feature I've talked about before. It makes use of the Auracast standard, which is a feature of Bluetooth LE audio that basically turns your phone into a radio tower, where you're blindly broadcasting to a bunch of devices nearby. And any number of devices nearby, so long as they also support Auracast, can pick up on that stream that you're broadcasting from your phone. So this basically allows you to share your audio with 1, 2, 3, 4, even more devices nearby, instead of having to get like a splitter or a transmitter to maybe stream your audio to one additional device. This allows you to stream it to as many devices as you want nearby. But of course, Auracast support is pretty limited right now. Among the Pixel phones running Android 16 DP1, only the Pixel 8 and later, excluding the Pixel 8a, support Auracast. And then there are a couple of flagship Samsung phones that support Auracast already on One UI. Then some Xiaomi phones do, some Sony phones do, but not a lot of other devices support Auracast right now. So the amount of devices you can actually use this feature with is pretty limited. And also, you have to have a headset that supports Auracast. Like, right now, I'm wearing the Nothing Ear A, and these don't support Auracast. If you have the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro 2, Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro 3, Google Pixel Buds Pro 2, and a number of Sony recent earbuds, those support Auracast, but not many audio products out there do right now. So this is an exciting feature, but it's one you're going to kind of have to wait for the ecosystem to actually broadly support and roll out.
We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, right? Like when you figured out that it was in the Pixel Buds, right?
Yeah, I've talked about this a few times. Like I posted about it. I thought it would be an Android 15 feature, so I posted about it then. Then I posted about it again. Then I posted about it again. But now it's here live, no tinkering or anything needed in DP1.
Very cool.
And another feature that's live in DP1, just very quickly, notification cooldown. So this feature, basically, if you get a whole bunch of notifications coming in at once, this feature will silence your phone so those notifications don't constantly buzz your phone at the same time. So if you get like an influx of notifications from the same contact, this will just gradually lower the volume so it's not constantly buzzing. And this feature is, again, available by default right now on Android 16 DP1.
Speaking of notifications, and it's not Android 16, but I recently, so Android 15 rolled out across Pixel devices, and I got it on mine. I got to tell you, the notification sync across devices is already a godsend. That's already like not getting the same notification on my tablet as on my phone. Oh, it's fantastic.
It works for you, Ron? Because a couple people keep telling me it doesn't work at all for them.
Well, I don't know. I'm not paying that close attention, but I'm trying to pay attention if I'm seeing duplicate ones, and I haven't really as much, but I've been traveling, so I wasn't looking as closely, but I assume it's working because it feels like less, but yeah, I'll look more closely. So cool. All right.
Yeah.
Are we excited? Are we excited about the moved up kind of moment here? It feels like, I mean,
it's
because
just relentless. When did DP1 come out for 15? That was after the new year,
February.
right?
February.
Was it February? Yeah.
I think Android 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 were all February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's almost like Google decided we just hadn't done enough this year already. Let's just go ahead and throw more stuff onto the pile.
It has really been a year. As we're getting
has.
As we're getting ready to wind down on the calendar year, it's crazy. Like it's been like we've been running on this treadmill nonstop for months. It feels like.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how I feel having to keep up with this?
No kidding. Yeah.
Do the Lord's work.
I'm glad as a consumer technology writer, I can just kind of live over here while you do your deep dives over here, and then just let me know what's coming. It's great. I love it. So I definitely I've never have been that kind of geek to like really dive down into like developer previews. I keep telling people I've never rooted an Android phone. I've never installed a beta. It's just not how I'm wired, but I appreciate the hell out of people like you, Mishaal, because like without you, I would be even more clueless than I already am. So I appreciate it.
Well, Huyen, how do you feel about the DP1 coming out so early? Like, are you?
I mean, if it pushes out the retro schedule, that's good. Like, I probably won't touch it. Like, we generally devs, I think it's not a bad thing to look at it, but because it's not API stable yet, it's kind of hard to invest time in it because you might get rug pulled on the effort you put in. But it's always good to kind of give it a first glance, see if anything wildly sets on fire and explodes. But again, it might just be exploding because it's DP1. So I'm excited though. Yeah, I mean, always earlier is better for most things. I mean, I guess depending on your team, but yeah. Ask me again when the beta comes out, then I'll start panicking.
All right, there you go. Set a calendar. Tell Gemini to set a calendar. I used, by the way, unrelated to any of this, I was cooking this past weekend and I needed to go to the store to get the ingredients. So I was looking at the recipe and then I opened up Keep and I was going to manually type in and I was like, wait a minute. And I pulled up Gemini. I'm like, Gemini, put the ingredients from this recipe on my shopping list. And Gemini came back, I'm sorry, I can't maintain a shopping list. And I was like, come on. And then I did the same thing. I go on my shopping list on Keep. And then it did it, and it put all the ingredients into Keep automatically, which was you have to tell it where to do it. But that was quite handy. But it would have been nice to just say on my shopping list. But
you still really had to guide it, huh?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, well, because you had to say the words Google Keep.
Yes, I had to
tell trigger like the extension that it
exactly.
Uses, so probably why.
Yeah. No. All right. Well, Mishaal, what else is coming?
Well, it's not coming now, but in a couple of years, from what I hear, Google is working on a multi-year initiative to basically fold ChromeOS into Android. And by that, I mean they're basically shifting a lot of the tech stack underneath ChromeOS and replacing it with Android bits. This is something that Google already announced kind of back in June. They announced that they were going to use more parts of the Android tech stack, including the Android Linux kernel fork, as well as some Android framework bits, and they already are using Android's Bluetooth stack. But what Google didn't announce, and from what I'm hearing from a source within Google, is that Google plans to actually basically turn ChromeOS into an Android distro, if that makes sense. You know how we have various distros of Linux that are all underlying using the same kernel. Both Android and ChromeOS are both also using Linux, but Android is very different from other Linux distributions. It's basically its own thing entirely. But basically, it looks like, from what I hear, in the future, I don't know how far from now, Google will eventually want Chromebooks to be running Android. And I don't know at that point if the Chromebook branding will still stick around and if ChromeOS will still exist as a branding. Those are both, I think, very valuable and well-known brands, especially in the education segment. So I'm kind of curious to see what Google plans to do with those brands. But basically, it looks like Google just wants to unify their operating system efforts under one umbrella, and that umbrella is Android. And the reason for that is because it's really difficult to maintain two completely different operating systems, even for a company as large as Google. It doesn't really make that much sense to do that, especially when they are converging in a lot of ways, but unable to really compete against like the biggest threat, which is the iPad and these high-end tablets. You have Android tablets getting better and better, but they're still good at media consumption, but really bad at productivity, like window management, multiple apps. They kind of suck at that. ChromeOS is very good at desktop window management, multiple apps, and all the things you associate with laptops, but they kind of suck for media consumption, which is kind of why they've delegated everything to just running Android apps on Chromebooks. So kind of merging those two things together, allowing Android to take over a lot of what Chrome OS does, like allowing to run Linux apps on Chromebooks. The desktop version of Chrome with extension support is being added to Android. Adding new desktop windowing features, better keyboard and mouse support. Basically, Google is doing a lot of things to make Android more viable as a desktop/laptop operating system. And from what I hear, Google is actually working on an Android laptop internally. And for a long time, I didn't know if that laptop would be branded as a Pixelbook or even released as a product at all. But on the same day that I published this article, the folks over at Android Headlines actually published an article saying that Google's working on a Pixel laptop. And they didn't really release much information about it, including the software. But they did say it's going to be a high-end laptop that is releasing at some indeterminate time in the future.
Bring it back.
Well,
I loved the Pixel.
Wouldn't be Google if they didn't spend hours and hours building up a popular brand that everybody knows and loves, and then kill it mercilessly, but with very little warning. So this is 100% in Google's playbook, folks. I don't know if anybody's like really surprised by this, but yeah. Oh, so what you say is Chromebooks are really starting to catch on? Yeah, we'll kill that. All right, cool. Let's move on.
Well, it's also, I think it's funny because you're right. Yeah, Chromebooks have got some momentum, stuff like that. But Jason, I feel like for years we've speculated when are these two not going to be happen. When is this going to happen? When is it going to consolidate into one, and which one will win? Right? And there's always been a little inching over here or inching over there or whatnot, But so if they're actually pulling the trigger and going on Android, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it because I feel like they've been teasing this for a while, right?
True.
Here's like I've been smirking this whole time because it just kind of clicked for me. At least a piece of this clicked for me, and I don't know that this is necessarily the reason, but the world works in mysterious ways because the next story, and I realize there's another part of the story you just talked about, but I'm just going to tie this together, is this antitrust case against Google getting a lot uglier. Bloomberg basically reporting that the DOJ may seek to force Google to sell off its Chrome browser. And then you look at this story, you're like, wow, the world works in mysterious ways. If that actually happened, they couldn't have a Chrome OS. They couldn't have a Chromebook because they no longer would own the Chrome browser. That's also, another part of that story is that it sounds like, at least according to Bloomberg's sources, that they would that there was the possibility of doing the same with Android, but that's probably not going to happen. That Google would, still have control over Android in all of this, and we don't know when we're going to find out exactly. Possibly tomorrow, possibly sometime next year. But it's just really interesting how these two stories kind of dance together, because I doubt Google is making this change because it foresaw this coming.
100% they're unrelated.
No.
Yeah, 100% they're unrelated, but wow, do they really kind of play into each other pretty strongly? If Google has to divest all of its Chrome browser business, then that changes all of this, and this actually ends up becoming more convenient. Probably seriously inconvenient still, but more so. Yeah. Anyways,
Wild.
Wild.
it is wild.
Yeah.
Crazy time.
You know what else would be wild? If certain brands had to be banned from the U.S. because they were violating Samsung display patents. I mean, that's probably not going to happen. But in not unfamiliar news, Samsung did raise a stink about BOE, the Beijing-based Chinese company that is one of the world's largest display manufacturers. They create LCD, OLED, and foldable displays. That is going to come up. And yeah, Samsung did kind of raise a patent dispute with BOE, and the U.S. International Trade Commission, the ITC, did in fact rule in Samsung's favor, saying that BOE has infringed on certain Samsung display patents, and Samsung actually sought as a remedy to have the import and sale of products that infringe those patents. But as Ben, a friend of the show, Ben Schoen, reports, Samsung is not getting that remedy. The ITC has not granted the request, although Ben notes that Samsung is expected to ask for that request to be reexamined because they really, really, really don't want no infringements. But ITC kind of counters, saying, quote, there is no impact on the industry in the United States, which is, I'm not very good with patent laws and analyzing impact, but it would, if this did go through, if Samsung did get their ban, there would be a lot of big names involved. For example, devices that you might be familiar with that have BOE panels include the OnePlus 13, and we have mentioned BOE displays quite a bit on some of our spec rundowns. The Motorola Razrs have used their foldable screens. Even Google and the Google Pixel 8 had a BOE display. And in terms of laptops, Lenovo ThinkPad that's foldable. And in fact, BOE is in talks with Apple to provide iPhone displays. So, and BOE is basically talking to everybody. So while this probably isn't going to be coming to anything and decisions will be final by March 2025, it would be interesting to speculate if Samsung continues to push the issue or if they are able to find kind of some other dispute or route, what that might mean if they do manage to impact BOE's business in the US. I don't know. So, but just food for thought for now, probably not going to happen.
Money will change hands.
Yeah, there are deals to be made, right, to take care of these things. So, but interesting to keep an eye on it as it progresses, though, right?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what else you should keep an eye out on? The eventual launch of the Pixel Tablet 2, because last week I posted an article on Android Authority containing some information that I obtained from a source about the upcoming device. And I learned that Google is currently prototyping the device with some different button layouts and some different placements of components. But more importantly, they're prototyping it with a keyboard cover, and that keyboard cover also has a touchpad. So finally, it looks like Google might be working on a tablet that is more productivity focused, as opposed to their first generation tablet, which is basically purely media consumption and smart home control centric. We did learn something actually interesting, is that the original Pixel tablet, Google did have plans to release a keyboard and stylus accessory for the first gen product, but they later scrapped the keyboard, at least, over quality concerns, according to my source. And so, it's interesting to see that, Google kind of held back on releasing those products for its first gen tablet because, they just didn't feel it was going to be worth releasing at the time.
I remember when the Pixel 1 came out, there was all those rumors about the stylus. Like everyone was expecting it and was shocked when it didn't come out with it, and so, and given what we were just talking about earlier about turning ChromeOS and Android, doing a Pixel tablet with a keyboard would be real nice for a productivity standpoint. So,
all the desktop related improvements that Google's been working on for, basically migrating ChromeOS over to Android, all that stuff benefits tablets too, with keyboard and mouse accessories.
I gotta tell you, I just spent hours on a plane with my Pixel tablet today, and I would love to talk to somebody about Google about the next Pixel tablet. I'm sure it's too late, but the whole placement of the power button and where the USB-C port it's just all backwards. Like the way I hold the tablet, like the USB-C port ends up on the top. And so then I have to rotate it because I really want that port to be on the bottom if I'm holding a portrait, but then the buttons on the wrong, like it just, I don't know.
I think I did mention they are moving the placement of the power button and the volume buttons.
So I'm
I
not
don't remember exactly where they're putting it, but I didn't mention that in the article.
Doesn't feel like it's right on this device. So whatever.
Interesting that they missed that the first time around.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like the power button being in the upper right corner when it's in landscape orientation makes a lot of sense for scanning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see your point when you're holding it portrait, but I have two Pixel tablets and I use the stand a lot for both of them. In fact, I've got one. I was leaning back and forth while you were talking because I've got one literally right in front of me. And so yeah, I definitely like where the power button is, so I guess we're going to agree to disagree on
I agree with you. The power button on the landscape mode is in the right place, but for me on portrait, the bottom is where the USB port is, and the USB port is in the wrong place. So it's not the buttons are in the right place. The USB port's in the wrong place. The USB port needs to be on the other side. So
okay. So that you can charge it while you're reading.
While you're holding it, yeah, exactly. And the charge is at the bottom, like at the bottom of the phone. Like imagine if the USB port was at the top of your phone, right? That'd be weird, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. But so
okay. All
right, cool. Well, moving on real quickly to Xiaomi. If you are in China and interested in what's going on in Xiaomi, they have posted the rollout schedule for HyperOS, HyperOS 2, which is going to be coming out. They posted over to our favorite social media network, X, Waka Waka. So they released a batch of devices that will be getting HyperOS 2 in November across phones, tablets, and wearables. And then they posted the rest of the devices, which will be getting them in December 2024. So if you've been waiting for that, stay tuned for there. And then Mishaal, you got some details from Xiaomi on HyperOS 2 about some new innovations they've got. They really love that word hyper. They've got HyperCore, which is going to be improving graphics, networking, and security on the devices. And then they've got HyperConnect, which allows seamless real-time integration across their ecosystem, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, HyperAI, which is using AI to analyze depth in user-selected videos frame by frame to create cinematic depth effects on lock screens, which is similar to I think what we have on Pixel, which is pretty neat. But yeah, and these are mainly for folks in China on the Xiaomi devices. So you can go check Mishaal's post out there about that and Xiaomi socials for that whole rollout. So
well, that's for the global rollout. Global rollout of HyperOS 2, so not just Chinese devices.
Right.
Although my device, the Xiaomi 14T Pro, is on the November date, and I've been hitting check for updates, but nothing. Where's the update, Xiaomi?
Yeah. Well, it's only November 19th. They didn't say when in November. They didn't say you've got 11 more days, right? So
I think there was one interesting feature that you missed in the announcement. Among all the other buzzwords, there was something interesting about better cross-device connectivity with MacBooks. So they're releasing some sort of app suite on Mac OS that allows you to basically integrate a lot of your Xiaomi apps with certain Mac OS apps. I don't know exactly how that will work, but that's kind of interesting to see, considering Xiaomi does release Windows laptops, actually.
Yeah. So. All right, cool.
Right on. Well, that is most of the news, but it's not all the news because we like to save the best for last. We pull you into it, especially if you are a patron. Patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. Those of you in the Patreon help us pick the final story of the news portion of this show, and we can't thank you enough for that. Of course, a part of this is you send us art. Anyone can send us art, by the way. You don't have to be a patron in order to submit your Bug Droid art for this portion of the show. And this week's Bug Droid art is created by Peter Keefe. There we go. Sorry, it was cut off on my screen. Peter Keefe sent in this wonderful picture of a Bug Droid out in the garden reading the Google S printout from his LaserJet printer, and talking about it into a microphone.
Yeah. Very nice.
Very nice and healthy.
Next week we'll have some awesome Thanksgiving themed bug droids that have already been sent in. So very excited about that. So stay tuned there.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter, for sending this in. Contact at androidfaithful.com if anyone out there wants to submit your take. Just send it to us, and we appreciate it. We'll put it in the stockpile and have it for future episodes. So, what did the patrons get to vote on? Well, if you are, and I'm sorry, I'm totally hiding Adam with the lower third. Apologies. If you are,
I hadn't noticed, but okay.
but okay.
That's usually me at the bottom.
Yes, I know. It's weird that it doesn't prevent that, but anyways, you voted on 3 different stories that you wanted to pick one of them for us to talk about. The loser of the bunch was the Red Magic 10 Pro Plus, is basically a power bank attached to a gaming phone. That got only 10%. Loser. The second loser, but better, is Google Wallet will soon alert you about tickets and passes when you're nearby. That sounds handy, but only 29% of you cared about that. The resounding majority of you at 61%, dare I say the popular vote, was Google's new Android app helps you verify you're chatting with the right person. And let me give you 3 guesses who wrote this article.
It's not rigged, I swear.
No, not her. No, not him. Okay, I have to tell you, it's Mishaal Rahman.
The people have spoken.
About this. The people have spoken. Mishaal, I read through this. It is a long, detailed article about verification of identity, and I think I'd rather have you explain it than me do a convoluted explanation of it.
So basically, this is a new app called Android System Key Verifier, and the purpose of it is to help you verify that you're chatting with the right person, as the title says. But what exactly does that mean? So let's say, Jason, yes, I add you on Telegram, right? If at a later point, I'm chatting with you, and I suspect, hey, this isn't Jason. I don't think I'm talking to Jason anymore. Like, how do I know that the person whose name is Jason Howell on Telegram is actually Jason Howell? And there's no really easy way to verify that unless you maybe do a face-to-face conversation or a video call, And even then, video calls, there are getting scary, sophisticated ways to mimic someone's video and the face and like their speech. So one way to get around that is with this new, basically, contact key verification system. You already kind of have this on iOS, where you can basically meet up in person. You can exchange keys by scanning a QR code on someone else's phone. That's basically verifying that, okay, I know that this person has the device that they are contacting me from this app with. And if later on I suspect that I'm no longer talking to the right person and I want to verify their identity, I can ask to compare these keys. Basically, you pull up these numbers that you can compare. And then if those numbers no longer match because the person on the other end of that chat app is actually using a different device than the one that I originally verified them to have, then you'll get a warning, and basically you can say that, okay, I'm no longer chatting with the right person. That someone else stole Jason's account and is signed into them on Telegram using a different device. And this key verification system will basically help me confirm that a different device is being used than the one that I verified with Jason in person. So that's basically how this works. It basically lets you say, okay, let's meet up in person. Let's verify that I have this phone, you have this phone. If at any point someone else gets access to your account, they won't have your phone. They'll have their own phone, but your account. but their device won't have the right keys. That tells you that even though they are signed into the right account, they might not be the right person. So that's basically how it works. And this is something that, as I mentioned, iOS has recently implemented, and it looks like Android is doing the same thing.
How does this work for people that switch phones? I ask for absolutely no reason whatsoever.
Well, this is like an opt-in thing. If you want to be extra cautious that you're talking to the right person, right? If someone does switch phones, then yes, in that case, the keys won't match anymore. And in that case, you would have to rescan the code. So you'd have to meet up in person or share the QR code again to have them rescan it.
Knowing that
in that case, you just
know it's really us.
Talk to them.
Yeah, no one in this chat will ever use this feature.
One of the many inconveniences that we face as people who review many devices throughout the year.
Funny enough, on Threads, there's actually someone who goes by the name Jason Howell. That's not you.
Yeah, they exist.
Someone also, I've seen that before.
The real Jason Howell or something like that. And like every time I see it, I'm just like, oh, Jason's here. Oh, that's not him.
I had another Ron Richards reach out to me on LinkedIn saying that he's contacting all the Ron Richards in the world, and I was just like, okay, dude.
Set up a Ron Richards lookalike competition in New York.
Yeah, I didn't check his chat key though to make sure that he was who he said he was. Though I'll do that next time.
Well, there's another Adam Doud in Iowa who's a really bad mechanic. That's all I really know about.
I don't have this problem as much. Go figure.
Neither do I.
Not even a one. Not even one.
I've tried. The middle name. The middle names. The middle name catches it because I use my middle name all the time.
Yep, totally. That's smart.
All right. Well, good to know about the chat keys. That's good.
Indeed. And thank you, Mishaal, for writing yet another wonderful article. And thank you, everybody, for voting for it. Or whatever article you want to read, we want us to talk about. It doesn't always have to be Mishaal's, but I'm happy that it was, because that is actually really interesting, even though I won't be able to benefit from it because I just use too many damn phones. I do want to thank patrons. In particular, 5 patrons this week: Colin Murphy, Craig Potts, Ray Lewis, Jonathan Salaby, and Chris Burgess from Australia. Y'all are awesome. Everyone who supports us on Patreon, just super cool, because you enable us to do this show each and every week. We can't thank you enough. You are so amazing. So thank you. We appreciate you. And excuse me, we have a lot more show coming up, but you're going to have to wait just a few moments before we get there. All right, it's time for hardware. It's the hard part of the show where people talk about phones that they have and they totally didn't break.
So I was talking to Cliff, my podcast partner over on Benefit of a Doud, youtube.com/benefit of a Doud, just throwing that out there just for whatever. And he's like, you and your slippery fingers. I'm like, I haven't broken a phone in literal years. And like, and he's like, well, what about that one where you it fell off the roller coaster? I'm like, that was 2 years ago. It was the iPhone 13 mini. I mean,
have we? Okay, show of hands. Have we all broken a phone? Have we all dropped a phone and broken the display? I definitely have.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
I did it even with a phone that I reviewed, and coincidentally, it was also an Asus phone. Remember the Zenfone 11 Ultra?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay. All right. So
you're not alone. You're not alone there.
Yeah, you're not alone. You're in good company.
I know.
We all hate our phones as much as you do.
Here's a better question, though. Do you remember the moment?
I do remember the moment.
I remember. I remember.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that my Nexus. Jason, you remember when I shattered my Nexus 5 when I was at a bar with a marble bar top, and I was chatting with somebody, and I was just nervously tapping my phone on the marble, and then tapped it, and the whole thing went
oh my God,
and just shattered. Like, I'll never forget that moment. So yeah.
Yeah, I had the Nexus 6. You remember that? It was the size of a car, and I had that in my hand, and I was walking along the sidewalk to go into Twit, and it could have even been the day of All About Android.
It was.
And I do remember it just, like, I remember the feeling of the phone in my hand and the feeling of it going whoop, just right out of my hand, and looking down and watching it just display down, land right on this, like, corner of the sidewalk, like a raised corner of the sidewalk connecting to another part. And it was like, there's no way. And I mean, it was destroyed. I think you even said it looks like a parade of like elephants marched over it.
I remember that. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So why are we talking about shattered phones, Adam?
Yeah. Just random conversation for no reason.
Yeah, totally. Well, so a phone launched today, the Asus ROG Phone 9, and here it is.
It's beautiful.
It's not that bad of a shot.
it's not that bad.
I didn't realize what was going on down
wait
the
a minute,
bottom.
never mind.
Yeah.
Is that a touchpad down there?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's unfortunately not. So, this is what happens when you drop a phone on an escalator. So let that be a lesson to you.
I've always
folks.
wondered.
I'm
sorry that you were the one to
turns
test
out
that.
Phone screens and metal stairs don't mix. Who knew? But so I was going to do a full review for Android Faithful on this, but we're just gonna have to kind of muddle through it because it is what it is. Wow, that's getting like stroby, and I can't power the phone off because when I try, you can see like how it's kind of freaking out. When I try to power it off, I get the power off menu, but like the power off button doesn't actually work. All the rest of the buttons work, but the
Can
power.
you connect
the
a mouse to it.
You know what? I should try that actually, but I already wiped it unfortunately because I'm gonna have to send this back to Asus. Anyway, Asus is going to send me another one, and so I will get a written review up on the site when the new one arrives. But there are a few highlights that we can talk about this phone, just so long as we don't, turn it on or,
just don't turn it around. Always show that side of the phone.
Yeah. So, I mean, this side looks great. And it's actually very reminiscent of the Asus ROG Phone 8. Same kind of shaped design on the camera module back here. There is I believe there's a Pro version of it that has like an LED thing on the back here that you can put your name back there, or Android Faithful or whatever, have it scroll across there if you want to do cool stuff like that. This is not the Pro version. This is the not Pro version. The real headline here is the fact that this is one of the first phones that you can buy in the United States with the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which was just launched at Snapdragon Summit last month. And I can tell you the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor is a very big deal because for the first time, Android phones are actually benchmarking faster than the best iPhone that's out there right now. So I ran Geekbench and I ran 3D Mark, the wildlife stress test. I don't know. There's like 8 different tests you can run on the Asus ROG Phone 9 and the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And the only so there's some caveats here. First of all, the Geekbench benchmarks that I ran on the phone were run with the latest software update. The 3D Mark test that I ran was not. There was a software update that was pushed in between the Thursday night and the Friday morning when the phone got dropped. So I wasn't able to repeat that. It's like a 20-minute test, which is why I was just going to wait until I was traveling. I was going to wait until I got home that night and run it. And anyway, so I ran the Geekbench tests with the latest software update, not the stress test. And on the Geekbench tests, there's another caveat here in that there is an X mode that Asus kicks in when you're gaming and when you're benchmarking, which basically tells the processor, just go all out, just go crazy. There are supposed to be governors there, and we'll talk about those in a second. But it just basically just says you just go as hard as you can, and everything will be great. And so the numbers that I was getting back from Geekbench, I've got the screenshots here since I can't actually run the benchmarks now. But we're looking at like a 3124 single core score and a 9906 multi-core score, and those numbers don't mean a heck of a lot until you put them into context with the iPhone, which I admit I should have had up and ready, but I don't. So give me 1 second. I'm sorry. But the single core score on the iPhone is the only area where the iPhone performed better than the other one. The
Elite
is the only one where the iPhone ran faster than the Snapdragon. The multi-core score on the iPhone was 8239. So you're talking about a roughly 15 to 20% increase, give or take, in that neighborhood, which is not insignificant. Now, on the 3D Mark test, basically got the similar results in that on the wildlife stress test, and the best loop score was 22,177. The lowest loop score was 21,711. So not too much of a difference in between there. Whereas on the iPhone, when you ran those two tests, the best loop score was in the 20,000s. I don't have it in front of me right now. So still lower. And the lowest loop score was in the 10,000s. Let me see. Is it? No. Where are these screenshots? Here we go. Yeah. So on the iPhone, sorry, my bad. The best loop score was 10,011, and the lowest loop score was 9,685. So it was about half. The caveat to that is that when I ran the wildlife stress test on the Asus ROG Phone 9, this phone got very hot. Very, very hot. In fact, the processor reported back a temperature of, is it 56? Yeah, 56 degrees Celsius, which is about 132 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
It was hot. I mean, I would say if you had a gun to my head, I could hold on to the phone. But if you just handed me this phone and said, "Here, hold this," I would have said, "Ah!" and I would have dropped it on the escalator.
The escalator.
Anyway. So it wouldn't have mattered. So the phone got super freaking hot. And so I reached out to Asus about that, and that's when they mentioned the software update. And so I don't know if that's been solved or not. What I do know is that the Realme, whatever the Realme phone is that also has the Snapdragon 8, that one was also running hot. In fact, if I recall correctly, Android Authority's version of the Realme phone actually shut down the stress test halfway through because it was getting too hot. So I'm not saying that there's a pattern here, but there's kind of a pattern here. I talked to Asus about that. That's when they asked me about the software update. I never got any official statement from them. I also asked Qualcomm about it. I never got an official statement from them, mainly because the phone broke and I wasn't able to repeat the tests. So kind of my bad. There are more phones coming this year that will have the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor in it. So you can believe I will be testing those as well, just to see, is this going to be like a common thing? Because it's not like Snapdragon is completely innocent. Looking back in the history of having, processors that don't. I'm not saying that right. There's history of Snapdragon processors in the past running a little on the hot side. So I just want to make sure that that's not more of the same here. But anyway, so like in terms of performance, though, it's very notable to say that Android phones are now, air quotes, faster than iPhone, because that has not been the case for a very long time. And so the other caveat that I want to say in general about the Snapdragon 8 Elite being faster than the A series processors on the iPhone was brought up at Snapdragon Summit. That's really cool that Snapdragon can beat iPhones, but what about iPads? iPads are now running M4 processors, which are kind of beating the pants off the Snapdragon 8. I don't have any benchmark numbers off the top of my head, but they are very much faster. So in terms of tablets, Android still has a ways to go before they can match the iPad power for power. But anyway, so enough about benchmarks, enough about power. As far as the rest of the phone is concerned, there are some cool things that I liked. One of the neat things is, there's air triggers on the phone, so you can, when you're playing games, you can, shoot up here rather than down here. But you can also set the right air trigger to be a camera shutter button if you wanted it to, which was kind of cool because, when you're holding your phone, you want to, take photos like this. But also I found myself accidentally snapping a lot of photos when I had the camera on. That was mainly when I was like at a press briefing or something, and I wanted to use the camera just to capture the slide that was on the screen or whatever. So I had the camera on all the time. I would say for normal people, if you have the camera on, you're probably aware of where your fingers are. So but it's kind of cool that you can kind of do that. And if I remember correctly, there was a gaming phone a while back that had air triggers that I said, I want that to be a camera shutter button. So good on you, Asus, for bringing that. The phone's very snappy. The phone works very well. I spent some time looking at photo samples that I took with this phone before it died. I was able to pull the photo samples off, fortunately. The cameras are not good. Let's just leave it at that. I can show you examples if you want. In fact, I will put examples when I do the written review for the site later on.
But the site says elevate your photography, Adam. Is that not accurate?
No, it's not.
It did not elevate your photography. Okay.
It sure did not. Although, granted, my photography is already pretty bad, so it's kind of a low bar. But no, just like in terms of like photo quality, especially in nighttime imagery, it's not great. It's probably, if you want to post stuff to Instagram, maybe you'll be okay. Maybe you'll get away with it, but focus is off, highlights are blown out. It's not a good experience. And like during the day is okay, but honestly, it's hard to make a bad camera in good daylight these days. So take that for what you will. But yeah, so overall, I wish I could have given this phone a more thorough review. We're calling this a mini review in the show rundown because this is not a full review by any stretch of the imagination. I had about 3 days with this phone when it was actually functional. And so it's
poor phone.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad. And like, I don't like,
no, you know what?
Phones,
no, you know what? Poor escalator.
Yeah.
That escalator should have known what it was doing. So in 3 days though, what is your kind of like, real short brief, like thumbs up, thumbs down? Where are you feeling with it?
The other thing I'm not sure about is like what the price point is for this. I would say just in terms of raw power, it's pretty great. I mean, it can do basically anything you need it to do. If you're like a Juan Carlos Bagnell that likes to plug his phones into like bigger screens and like turn it into a laptop, this is gonna be a great phone for that. But in terms of like photography, not great at all. We talked about that. I like the size. I like the air triggers. I wish every phone had air triggers, to be perfectly honest. I just love air triggers. And I like the utility that Asus brought to the air triggers, that you can use them like outside of just a gaming environment. I would say if you're going to buy it for like what? $899?
$999. I think it starts at $999.
1,000,
okay.
Yeah.
I would say this is probably about $800 worth of phone, but I would imagine the people that are going to drop $1,000 on it probably want it for gaming, and it's going to be amazing at that. So, if you are a gamer, if you're a mobile gamer, then yeah, this will do a good job for you. I can't speak to battery life. I can't really speak to, long-term endurance aside from that 120-minute test that I ran on an old software update. So
you can speak to overall glass endurance and that it broke
Yes.
pretty easily.
Again, metal stairs though, you really can't blame them.
Metal stairs.
Yeah. So I guess
Not a whole lot you can do about that.
I guess the real conclusion that I can draw here is if you're on an escalator, just put your phone in your pocket till you get to the top.
It's a good lesson.
Oh, but it's so boring on an escalator. I need to fill all of my time when I'm standing.
Yeah,
there.
it's like 20 seconds. You can sing happy birthday to yourself, and by the time you're done, you'll get to the top. Bring that phone back out and get back to Snapchatting or whatever the kids do.
Is that a testament though to the slippery nature of the phone? Was it particularly slippery, or was it just?
Oh no, this just so like what actually happened was I was on an escalator with my suitcase and I reached up to take a photo of something, and as I brought my hand down and hit the handle of my suitcase and it just flopped. So it's. I mean, all phones are slippery if you ask me, but
yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It does come with a nice case in the box, though, so that's cool. It didn't really do much for the front, but the back is rock solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I like gaming phones because they have really good styling to them. They're just not glass slabs. They've got some pizzazz. There's I don't know if you can really see it, but there's an ROG down here, and there's a logo and the red accent mark down here. I like the style of gaming phones, but yeah, it's a shame what happened, and you wait for the full review and probably a few weeks, and I'll get that over to you.
We love the ROG. Always good to hear about the ROG. So
absolutely. So sorry I couldn't do more for you, but escalators. What can you do, bro?
We'll stay tuned for that.
It's life,
and we'll give it the full proper review when you're able to do that. So
LIVIN, just living.
Yeah.
All right, we got a whole bunch of Samsung news, right, Wynn?
Yeah, well, if you're still waiting for the ROG Phone 9 for add-on full review, then continue waiting. And you also, if you're waiting for the S25, the Samsung Galaxy S25, you might have to wait a tiny bit longer. The launch is reportedly happening, though, on January 22nd. This is a little bit later than last year. Not last year. It's still this year. This year's S24 launched on January 17th, but 2025, the 25 will be launching on January 22nd, although apparently the event will happen in Korea, so technically it's happening on January 23rd, I guess, depends. It's time zones, but yes, just a little bit later than normal, and not only that, we're going to be seeing probably the 3-core S25 phones, but also perhaps the rumored S25 Slim, which is meant to be an ultra thin competitor directly with the reported iPhone 17 Slim. So lots of phones fighting over who's the slimmest, who's the coolest, and we'll see how that fight shakes out in 2025 whenever we get a look at the S25s.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's not it on Samsung, though, because coming later in 2025, but what's been rumored has the Samsung Google collaboration around XR glasses. So we got a little more. I don't know if these are leaks or details or whatever are starting to come out, reporting coming out saying that the Samsung Google collaboration on the XR glasses won't arrive until the second half of 2025. But digging into the actual devices, they share some of the specs of the very successful Meta Ray-Bans glasses, in that the glasses are going to be powered by the Qualcomm AR1 chipset, which is the same chip that's in those Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. From that, they also share a 12 megapixel camera and a 155 milliamp battery. So it's very, very similar to the Ray-Ban Meta. But one of the big the things that's been speculated as to whether or not they're going to have a display. And based on this report, which came out of China from Wilson XR, said that the Samsung device will not have a display. Basically adding a display and matching the weight and the size and the battery size of the Ray-Ban Meta would be challenging. So it strongly suggests that there won't be a display with these glasses. So we will see what comes out of that when next year when this eventually does get announced. And it is, according to this report, going to be shipping in Q3 2025, and that they initially are building 500,000 units. Which is in line with what Samsung has teased earlier this fall. So interesting to see more details of that coming out. But it doesn't stop there. Everybody's all gaga for that Huawei trifold phone. Well, Samsung's up next with the trifold phone. Apparently, they who knows if they're seeing the success of Huawei's the response to that or not. But a leak to the Korean publication ET News is basically saying that Samsung's going to have a trifold coming out next year, and it's going to be totally different than Huawei's device. And it'll be a huge display that's between 9 and 10 inches when fully unfolded. So I guess we'll see. I'll believe that when I see it. But I guess trifold might be the new fold, right? Like this is, after everybody, I saw Michael Fisher sharing his Huawei trifold and making everybody jealous. It looks looks very, very cool. And if Samsung gets involved in it, that could make it trifold get even bigger, huh? So
It'll be
Hopefully not
expensive
bigger in the
AF.
wrong way.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's thin.
Good point. Yeah. Hopefully it's thin. Yeah.
So this photo that I'm looking at on Tom's Guide seems to show that it folds, or at least what they're showing here folds differently than what we know about the Huawei. The Huawei
it's like a zigzag fold.
is like a zigzag that folds on top of itself.
Yeah.
And the other one that's showing here is that it folds inward, kind of like if you were to fold a map into 3 pieces and then unfold it.
That was like their CES concepts from like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
There was like the Flex G, the Flex S, and
That's
things
right.
like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess the advantage of that is that because it folds more like a book when it's closed, none of the, there's only one screen. And so whatever the efficiency there is there. And when it's folded, it'll be nicely protected. So if you drop it on an escalator, maybe it might survive, which it would be a good thing. I think it's probably going to be like $3 grand, like the
This
Mate
is
XT.
not going to be cheap by any means.
I don't actually
Right.
No,
But it
thank
would
you.
only be one screen. So then if it's folded, it's kind of
They probably need like a
useless.
cover screen then on the outside.
Probably need a cover
Yeah.
screen.
Like,
Because
well,
otherwise, anytime you use this, like you wouldn't use this as a phone if that's the case, because you'd always
Foldable
be using it as a
tablet is
tablet.
what it would be.
It would always be a tablet. Yeah, that's interesting.
Hello? Sorry, I can't hear you. I'm in a tunnel. But yeah, that's what it would look like if it wasn't like that.
As long as it fits in the back pocket of jeans, that's the most.
The pocket
important.
test. If it folds up and fits in that back pocket, it's A-okay by me. So.
Women's pockets, no. Sorry.
Right, true. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, well, lots of innovation coming out of Samsung. Stay tuned to 2025. So it should be fun.
For the next phase of foldables coming soon. All right, we got some app news to talk about, and it's always fun to start with, when we can, Google's best apps of the year, which Google did announce. I think this was yesterday. Sorry, I thought it was today, but it was yesterday. Nonetheless, we have some apps here that I had never heard of.
That's every year we do this. Like, have you heard of these apps?
Yes,
And,
I know. Tells me how closely I'm watching new apps. But Partiful got best app, best overall app. This is like a party planning app with something called Party Genie that helps you design invitations, offer ways for people to RSVP. Kind of sounds in some ways kind of like maybe Evite for the app age, Evite is that is
the best
legacy.
app, huh? I mean, that's what you got, Google? All right.
And that's what you got. Hey,
Yeah.
maybe it's here. Let me play this. Maybe it's just really well designed. I don't know. I haven't played around with it. It's probably deserving.
It's interesting to see how much Google has put into these. Like they made these videos showcasing all of these apps that won and like gave them all little trophies and did a whole thing around it. They're trying to really build up to this. I mean, this is if they've come up with a cool interface to create party invites for Partiful, but I don't need this, so I don't know, but I'm sure there's a niche out there that this does fill.
For sure.
It's only got 50,000 downloads, so
I mean,
Kinda gives-
that's. Go ahead, Win. I was just gonna say something after you.
Oh no, it's definitely got. It feels like it's also kind of veering into the Canva market a little bit
Yeah,
because
maybe
like with the
that.
design, kind of integrating that with the e-invite type stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna say I think the reason we get like all these kind of obscure to us apps is because, Google is not just picking the best app in the sense that we think of the best apps, but like
Sure.
what is the best to them in terms of maybe they consider
Showcasing.
things like showcasing Google Play features or Android features or
yeah.
things that Google considers important to the Play business.
In-app purchases.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
things like those are probably
What
factors
drives
in
their
there.
business and makes
Yeah.
them look good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Best game, best overall game, AFK Journey, an RPG that I've, again, never heard of. Not to say that it's any, that makes it bad. I don't really pay close attention to games these days, but I mean, that looks neat.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Looks
Is it
like
an
maybe
idle, like
a-
one of those tapping games, though? Because I don't know.
It's an RPG. No more tedious grinding. I like that. That's for sure.
Oh, is it an idle game?
Oh, it's like one of those like cookie clicker kind of. I'm not like exactly that
Yeah.
cookie, but you know what I mean, where you basically
Yeah.
do nothing but tap
Well,
buttons.
Yeah, kind of like AFK Hero.
Yeah.
autoplay. So basically, you just fire it up and it.
Auto progress.
Yeah, but
just
usually
plays
what
for you.
happens is you run out of mana or points or something. So so if
you
you're
have
really
to
addicted
be-
to it, then you pay to play more, or you are patient and wait.
Interesting.
If it's the game's really good, it's a moneymaker. So
5
but,
million downloads.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Doing all right. 4.6 stars. Those are the best, and then there's best multi-device app and game. This little app you never heard of from HBO called Max. There's that.
Yeah.
Best.
Is it still called Max, or they have they changed
It
the
is
name?
still called Max. It's just,
Okay.
it's just
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's
It's
funny 'cause
successful despite its name.
Right. I mean, it's funny because like I use this app a lot because I watch a lot of TV and stuff like that on it, and it's fine. Like I just feel like there's such a world of sameness across all the streaming apps, and I was actually I was actually happy to see in the sub best awards, just in the bulleted list, the best for Google TV they gave to Peacock, which I actually think is despite having the least amount of content that I actually watch, is one of the best of the streaming apps in terms of the functionality, the way they organize stuff and do everything with it. So I'm glad to see Peacock get a little bit of a praise. So
I
Best-
just canceled Peacock, but yes.
Yeah. Best game, best multi-device game. This little one you've never heard of called Clash of Clans, and a whole bunch of others in here that I've honestly just.
Oh,
That's what I like best for cars. PBS Kids video. Really? What are we doing with that?
I mean, it probably makes a lot of people happy. A lot
Yeah,
of parents
true.
and
Yeah.
kids, for different reasons. Baby Daybook Tracker. What is this?
Oh,
best
I wish I had this when my kids
wearable.
were babies. Oh, the app I used
I had
was
an app
awful.
like this, but I didn't have a
Yeah.
wearable, And Oh, I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and let's see here through the games. Eggy Party, best pick up and play. That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, Kingdom
Eggy
5
Party.
Kingdom
Eggy
5 Rush
Party.
Alliance. That was a good game. Kingdom 5 Rush. Kingdom Rush 5.
Kingdom
Yeah.
Rush
Yeah.
5.
Play
I did
Pass.
play that. It was good.
Best on Play Pass.
Oh, okay. Okay. Play
Yeah,
Pass.
they've been
Still
around
going
for a
strong.
while. It's a good previously flash game.
Best for Google Play games on PC. Cookie Run, Tower of Adventures. So that's the whole games on the PC. Remember we saw that at the
Yeah.
demo? Yep, yeah. So
Yeah.
Right.
And like, kind of to your point, Mishaal, like I wonder how much that actually takes place, how many people are really, really investing themselves in it. I have to imagine it's a small percentage, but calling out is a great way to get people to check it out again. Cause they're like, oh, well, I haven't tried that in a while. Maybe this is, I should check this out and see what it's like. And maybe that gets more people
Right.
using it. So interesting stuff. Anyways, there is a blog post on the Keyword blog to take a look at all these apps and games. So if you're thirsty for some installs and you don't know where to start, this is a good place to start. Always is.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Probably won't play any of them, but okay.
who is the time?
Seriously.
Seriously. I totally
No, not
agree.
you. Not serious. Seriously. Stop it.
You know what you do have time for, though?
What?
Reading blog posts on AndroidFaithful.com.
Heck
Yes.
yeah, that's the best
Hell
place
yeah.
to read blog posts.
Especially when we're covering new Google app feature updates, including a new scam detection feature that's available for phone by Google beta users in the US, I think, right now. This feature, I think, is also exclusive currently to the Pixel 6 and later, And it basically, this is what Google announced at I/O earlier this year, where you have the phone using an on-device AI model, basically analyzes your phone call audio in real time, and it tries to pick up on conversation patterns that are commonly associated with phone scams, such as, someone urgently asking you to transfer your funds from bank to bank, or urgently asking you to buy a gift card from Target. Those very common phone scams that are really, really, really especially targeted towards like the elderly, and they trick a lot of people all the time, pretty much like every day. I don't know, like hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars are lost to these scams.
Tragic.
It's a lot. Yeah. So Google's hoping this kind of feature will actively detect and warn people that they might be getting scammed before they actually go through with, sending off money to some unknown person. And this feature is opt-in. And of course, as I mentioned, it's powered by an on-device AI model. So none of your phone call audio is ever uploaded to the cloud. It's all happening on your device. And Google says it's private by design because of that. And in terms of other security features, Google is also rolling out another feature they announced at I/O, which is live threat detection in Google Play Protect. And this feature is also available right now on the Pixel 6 and later, but Google says it will be coming to other Android devices in the near future. This feature basically is a smarter version of the Play Protect detection service that already exists on many Android devices. Google is basically now implementing some more advanced detection algorithms that can detect when a application is trying to evade detection. Because, a lot of malicious applications, they basically have this code that basically dynamically adjusts their behavior depending on what's happening or whether they're trying to be inspected. Google is trying to basically detect when other apps are trying to avoid detection and then actively alert you that you might want to uninstall or take a look at this app. And basically, I think at first, Google is focusing on a specific kind of app. If you scroll down, Jason, I forgot what kind they're focusing on first. They're focusing on... Scroll down, Jason. Yes, they are focused. Stalkerware. I forgot the name. They're focusing first on detecting stalkerware, which is basically malicious software that runs in the background and tries to spy on you and what you're doing on your phone. This is the first kind of application that Google is trying to crack down on with live threat detection in Google Play Protect.
Excellent. Both great features. I'm happy that they're finally rolling that out.
Yep.
It's too bad that scam detection is opt-in, because I would just love to troll my Android 16 friends by telling them I'm a Nigerian prince, and if they could pay me with a gift card, that would be great. Just,
Yep. All right.
You know what else is great, but it's not available yet? Another feature that Google is working on in Gmail that will basically allow you to create email aliases, according to a teardown of the Google app by the team at Android Authority. Google is working on a basically shielded email feature that will allow you to basically protect your email address. So, you don't have to give out your personal email address to some service when you sign up. You can instead give out this alias that will then forward those emails to your real address. So that, all too happens when you give out your personal email address, some way or some other, that address ends up in some mailing list and you're getting all the spam later on. Well, this shielded email feature will hopefully protect your real email address from ending up on those lists. And of course, iOS folks, Apple does something similar called, I think, Relay something. As you can tell, I'm not very much an iOS guy, but I do know they have that. I do know it's a very useful and beloved feature available to iOS folks. And thankfully, it looks like Google's working for something similar on Android.
It's funny. I am an iOS guy, and I still couldn't tell you the name of that feature because I never use Apple Mail. So I use Gmail all the time. And I'm just going to say, knock on wood, my email address has been active since 2006. I don't remember when. My email address is old enough that I needed an invitation to get it. So if that gives you an idea. And you know what? Knock on wood, I still got it, and it's still going. So I'm...
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that honestly, Google's spam protection is good enough that, I probably get, thousands of spam emails a day, but I just never see them because Google's really good at filtering those out. But this is just another layer on top of that, which I think would be very much appreciated. So yeah, if you're a Gmail user, this is a big deal. I like this.
Yeah, very cool. I had a Gmail thing that came up the other day. I use the not so much Gmail, but Google services about your results, like to the trust and safety stuff they did, where you could find your email posted on other websites. And I saw like white pages and things like that. And I'm like, request removal, and within like 15 minutes, it was removed. So
nice.
So like they're building these tools that are protecting people and potentially helping protect your identity out there on the web, out on in the internet. So it's pretty handy. So
Nice.
I should also mention that since that I established that email address, I've had a couple of throwaway email addresses that I've used over the years that like I just no longer pay attention to. So that probably helped a little bit with the spam, but
yeah,
knock on wood, that puppy's still going.
Right on.
Yeah.
And to cap things off, and for our app news, we also have a couple of updates coming to Health Connect. Well, actually, I talked about another Health Connect feature available on Android 16, but this new Health Connect feature is available, from what I can see, on Android 14 and above. And it's the ability to back up and restore your health and fitness data that you've saved to Health Connect. So this feature is already kind of widely rolled out. If you open Health Connect now and you tap on the Manage Data section, you'll have a export option. You can set up a scheduled export to export your Health Connect data to a zip file on Google Drive or some other cloud service provider. And you can schedule this to happen on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or on a monthly basis. And basically, this will just allow you to ensure that you have a safe storage location for your Health Connect data so that if you change phones later on, you can import that data and pick up where you left off. Because right now, all that data is only stored locally on your Android phone, your Health Connect database. And, it's an aggregate of all your health and fitness apps put together. And if none of those apps are syncing their own data, then you're kind of going to lose that data if you switch phones. But fortunately, most apps are, at least on their own, syncing that data. But being able to aggregate it and export all that data in one place and import it all back into one place is certainly convenient.
One of those things that's kind of surprising. It didn't exist before.
Yeah.
It always surprises me on that. It's like, really?
Every now and then it crosses off like, wait a minute, really?
Yeah. I would have assumed.
Yep.
And finally, Google's rolling out an update to the Digital Wellbeing app that adds a new screen time reminders feature. This feature will basically, when you enable it for an application, after like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm not exactly sure. Like I've seen it show up a couple of times, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes later, you'll get this little pill that appears at the top of the screen that basically says you've been using this app for 15 minutes or you've been using this app for 20 minutes. Basically like a gentle little nudge, a little reminder that you've been using this app for too long and maybe you should take a break. It's not as restrictive as the app limit feature, which will give you a hard stop of, you've used this app for an hour, you can no longer use the app at all. This new screen time reminder is just a little gentle nudge saying you've been using it for a little too long. So Jason, actually, if you click on the gallery, it's going to be all the way to the right. Keep scrolling. There's 4 images in this gallery.
Oh, I see. The fourth.
And at the very top, you can see, if you're video viewers, you see at the top, it says used for 15 minutes.
Okay.
I have another
Like
image,
that.
If you click right, that shows what happens if you tap on that. It just opens a little dialogue that tells you exactly how long you've been using the app and whether or not you want to change the reminder.
Nice. Yeah, it's good to get a reminder of that. I mean, because I always find the digital well-being and it cuts you off at the point that you put in there because, I mean, that best intentions, but I don't know about anyone else here, but I know that I've definitely set that in the past and then just go in like, no, you can't.
And ignore it.
And then you just
or
ignore it and
override,
go in
change the
anyways.
time, add more time. Yeah. I've
Kinda
done
like
that
at the
before.
end of
Who are
the
you
day,
to
I'm
tell
in
me
control.
it's time to go to bed? No, I don't think so.
So
See,
at least
always-
this is kind of like, here, just so you know, it's been 25 minutes. Do you really want to go longer than that? That might be a good nudge.
I like that because like with the whole setting app limits and overriding them, I've always been of the opinion that if I have the discipline to go in and set limits for myself, then I have the discipline to enforce them without having set them in the first place. That's complete BS, but that's always been my philosophy. I like this just because it's not a hard and fast like stop it. It's more of like a hey, it's a friendly tap on the shoulder.
Stop it, maybe? Maybe
Yeah.
Stop it? I don't know. Yeah.
Sounds like I'm talking to my kids.
All right.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I'm into
speaking
it.
of stop
I like
it.
Stop it for a second.
Shall we stop talking about apps and move on?
Yeah, but we should totally stop it for a second and wait for a couple of seconds before we start it again.
Good idea.
Starting now. Okay, you can start it now. Okay.
All right. Well, we love to hear from you, and you've all been writing in. We've gotten so much email lately. We want to make sure we highlight a few every week, so here we are. You can email us at contact@androidfaithful.com. Responses to the previous episodes, your own personal stories, whatever you got, send them in. Our first email comes from Shawn Dreelin, who writes in response to last week's episode, where he says a couple of things about the questions Mike asked about features in Google Messages. You might remember if you listened to last week's episode, Mike wrote in comparing Textra to Google Messages, and he wanted to bridge the gap between the two. So Shawn writes in and says, you can change the colors of the messages but on Google Messages, but only for RCS messages. If you're chatting with another RCS user, you will see change color in the menu for that chat and also the details option. It's not an option, though, for regular SMS messages, and I'm thinking it's not for group chats either, which I think is what he uses it for, which is true. But then Shawn recommends Buzzkill is an excellent app that will provide him the option to keep popping the message back up as a reminder and even make it come back if you accidentally swipe it away. There's also Android snooze function on the notification itself. You can snooze it and have it come back in 15, 30, 60, or 120 minutes later. And then lastly, he says, Jason was right about if you make a message set to priority, then you'll see that user's picture. You don't need to have it set to bubble to see that. I use this on a few folks, so I know it's them versus just non-important messages. And bonus, if you have Google Messages set to show lock screen info, you'll see their icon when you have the ambient display on. So thank you, Shawn. Hopefully Mike is listening and picks up on those tips. Buzzkill I thought was an interesting app. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. I looked into it. It's like it's in the Google Play Store. It gives you a little more power around your notifications and what you want to do with them. Whether they're cooling them down or having them come back up or remind you or whatnot. So looks to be pretty neat. So check that out.
It's fun. Neat. Every now and then I'll be flipping through my notifications on Android, and it'll be like, what's this little clock thing here? I don't know what that is. And so I'll hit it and it'll snooze the notification. I'm like, oh, that's really neat. I should start using it. And then I don't.
And you never.
And then like a few months later, I'm flipping through my notifications. I'm like, yeah, what's this little clock thing?
It's just an endless loop, right?
But you know what? Can I just tell y'all something? Like, I don't know if you do this, but in Gmail, the snooze feature on emails is amazing. It is
I do that.
It has changed my life. For those who use their inbox as a to-do list, snoozing emails is like the best thing in the world. So anyway, sorry.
It is nice.
I
agree with that.
Well, if you're not done with RCS or recommendations or other wonderful things that start with R, like raspberries, and I can't think of anything else that starts with R right now.
Rubles.
Like rubles and rupees and rubles and
rupees, yeah.
And Rari Pops. I tried. We have another. We have some more upcoming for you. Hi, Android faithful. Bob from Ontario, Canada here. Loving the show as always. Have been a loyal listener since 2017 during the previous version of the show. I have a question. I was hoping to get insight and opinions from yourselves and the Android faithful family. Some background. Nearly all of my contacts that I message regularly are on iOS. Naturally, I'm running Android. To be able to properly share media content and participate in group chats, I've been running Blue Bubbles for nearly a year. Almost entirely problem-free. I even have my phone number linked up with iMessage. My question is, with iOS 18 now released and RCS being enabled by default, is now the time to go all in on RCS and stop using Blue Bubbles? For those who aren't using something like Blue Bubbles, are you noticing a lot of your iPhone contacts are actually using RCS? I want to simplify by just having Google Messages be my sole messaging app, but I'm hesitant. Thanks, Android Faithful family.
So I had never heard of Blue Bubbles before.
Neither did I.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about it last year with all the beeper stuff. Because
Exactly.
It's
That
very
was-
similar.
Yeah.
That was my thought. Yeah, basically, he was able to bridge the gap between Android and iMessage in the
You
Google
like
Play
set
Store.
up your own server or something, or use a cloud server? Or
You have to have your own Mac, and it probably does something similar
Oh,
where you're
okay.
registering, through
Yeah.
the service through a
Yeah.
Mac, and then some kind of connection. I didn't look too much into the mechanics of it, but yeah, you need a virtual physical Mac OS device, but it does work for Android, Windows, Linux, and web. Should we say this more quietly so Apple doesn't get a
I know, yeah, we don't want. Yeah,
like,
how did they? Do you think when the beeper thing happened, they were just like waiting? They were like, but to answer Bob's question, I don't know about you guys, but I've been noticing more and more of my texts with friends on iOS switching over to RCS, and so like on one hand, to his question, like, is it the right time to jump from Blue Bubbles to just go in on all Google Messages? My first instinct is like, yeah, totally, because it's like here. But then I'm also realizing it's dependent on your friends and family to upgrade to the latest version of iOS, which now going through my messages, I see who doesn't update their phone, right? Because they're not there yet.
A lot of people are very resistant to update. I don't want my phone to change, whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
that did
so
seem to
that's
be the
very
vibe.
possible.
Yeah, from some Reddit posts, just like it's not even a question of like them refusing, although I did see one or two responses that they were refusing to use RCS, but more just like, yeah, people just don't update their phones. It's kind of a universal thing. Like we're all nervous about it.
Yeah.
My
for
daughter
good
doesn't
reasons.
update her phone because God forbid she should stop using TikTok for the 16 minutes that it would take her to update and reboot.
You should put the little warning on there to say she's using TikTok for 15 minutes. But but it is interesting. Like I'm in a text group message with two buddies of mine who are on iOS, and like I saw the day that they both were up on the latest version because it switched to an RCS chat, and then we had a name for the text group, and I could see him like, and it just like it kind of it clicked into a wonderful experience, but you don't have control over what the other person on the other end of the message is doing and what version they're on. Yeah. So
having said that, I've seen a lot in my messages between me and iOS users of RCS conversations, and it's great.
So optimistically, I would say go to Google Messages and say, and just see who's on RCS, right?
Just get everybody to use Telegram. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's the actual answer.
Yeah.
All right, finally, we have one more email to read to you. Hello, faithful Patreon supporter Ben from Baltimore here. Hello, Ben. Thank you. Last week on episode 70, there was an email regarding the state of ads in Android, and I have to agree with their sentiment. The state of ads on Android has become atrocious, and I don't think Google even cares. This is why I block ads on my phone at the DNS level with AdGuard, and I have a private DNS on my local network with Pi-hole. I really wouldn't care about seeing ads if they didn't make the internet unusable. I whitelist websites that use unobtrusive ads. And I'm just going to pause for a quick second because this ties into earlier this evening. I was showing a certain web page, and it had 4 flippin' videos playing in different parts of the page.
I've stopped going to that website, by the way, because of
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And they were all playing different things. Like half the screen was obscured. It was crazy.
And you feel the tug on your processor and browser, like
for
feel
sure. And
it's
in
really
my
good.
position, like
yeah.
I'm controlling the show and everything like that. I might be back to having to block sites like that. I don't want to, but I might have to. Otherwise, the show doesn't run smoothly.
Right.
So
Yeah. I'm a bad online journalist. I use an ad blocker.
I mean,
Those things pay my salary, man.
If it wasn't just I know.
I mean,
it's a total,
AndroidFaithful.com too. We need the ads, so
It's a total.
It's frustrating.
It sucks. Anyways, continued. I would also, this is Ben, I would also love to mention the new Thunderbird for Android email client. For years, I've used K9 Mail and swore by it as the best email client available on Android. I also have always used Thunderbird on my desktop PCs. Now they have married and had a baby, Thunderbird for Android.
Aww.
I've been using it for a few weeks now, and I can say it has taken the strong K9 foundation and built upon it. Everyone should check it out. It beats the living daylights out of the god-awful Gmail app. Have a great week, Ben Hobb. Thank you, Ben.
All right.
Fantastic feedback. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thunderbird dog.
We talked
Not
about
gonna do it.
Thunderbird a couple weeks ago on the show, and I haven't had a chance to play with it. It's on my to-do list this month. I'll probably, over the
samesies.
Thanksgiving break, get time to sit down and set it all up. So
It's on your to-do list in your to-do list app.
yeah, and Todoist.
The
That's
Todoist.
my to-do list app these days.
Yeah. I'm so scattered on to-dos. I'm everywhere at this point. I'm like, I did
take a moment and I sat down and I bankrupted all to-do lists, and then I switched over to Todoist and I set up projects. And so I've got my Android Faithful project, got my Fanboy, I got Scorebit, I got one for the house, one for family, and I'm using their whole kind of language with the quick kind of task adding tool to get to. My whole thing is like, the moment you think you need to do something, you need to capture it and log it. Like if you don't have that discipline, then you're lost. So,
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Totally.
I use reminders in Google Calendar and Gmail. Those are my to-do lists.
I got a pad and a little mini pen
Field
that I keep
notes.
in my back pocket. The field notes, and I write it down.
Adorable. But then if you leave it in your back pocket, you never do anything on the list. So
I tape sticky notes to my screen, my computer monitor.
there you go.
I don't really do that, of course.
I used to do this like when I realized like this weekend, I've got like 8 things that I need to get done this weekend. Then I'll use Todoist. Otherwise, just reminders and calendar, and I'm fine.
Oh my gosh, are we a bunch of busy people? And this has been a busy show, packed with people and content. And we are very lucky.
Content.
So much, and so lovely to see you, Adam. Adam Doud. Well, lovely to have you back as always. Adam, what do you want people to know about what you're doing?
I'm basically everywhere. So I'm a freelance writer for /Gear, CNN, and Forbes. That's where you'll find most of my stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed, adding another client or two in the near future. So keep that close to your heart. Otherwise, I am on Threads and Blue Sky most recently. Dead Technology on both. Instagram. If you want to hear my thoughts about being a freelance influencer, which apparently I've made myself into on LinkedIn, you can go there, and I wax philosophic about working freelance jobs over there. But yeah, I'm a freelance writer, so you will find me wherever the money is. And so that's so Dead Technology everywhere else, because social media doesn't pay me yet.
A free fluencer, a free flow influence. Anyway, too many F's.
Yeah,
not even.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about like LinkedIn. He's like, "So are you like a freelance influencer?" I'm like, "No, I'm not well, maybe. I might be. Yeah, actually.
I don't know. You do talk a lot about it on LinkedIn, and I find it very
I
fascinating.
do talk a lot.
Chatted with you on that topic as well. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing as much as you do in the freelance world. It's a
I
new
got
thing
you,
to
boo.
me.
Well, Jason Howell, ye of the field notes in your back pocket. What else you got in your pockets?
Well, let me see what I've got here. I'm going to open up to page 13. And see, this, like I said, this is one of many. Like, this is like one place that to-dos go, and then
That's a
I've
problem.
got
That's a
Post
problem.
Notes, and then I've got Google Keep, and then I've got Notion, and then I've got this. Just I have no organization. It probably explains a lot, actually. YouTube.com/@TechSploder is my YouTube channel. There you can see the fruits of how organized I am capable of getting myself. At least enough to produce videos. Anyways, a bunch of stuff there. Got some stuff coming up. Next week, I'm going to be out of town all week for the Thanksgiving holiday, which will be a nice little break. But I still have stuff planned to go out on a little trickle. So youtube.com/@TechSploder.
By the way, speaking of being disorganized, this is what happens when I don't read off of a script. YouTube.com/benefit of the Doud, by the way, is my YouTube channel. So
Where you want to go?
I need to write this down, because
right
if I don't
there.
read off of a script, I am like toast. So, yeah,
Well,
but-
you could put on a sticky note on your monitor like Mishaal does. And of course, Mishaal is doing so many things. We read about a lot of them today. Mishaal, what else do you want? What else do you want people to know?
If you want to find all my work, or at least a link to all of my work, you can go to my Linktree page, which I have cataloged all my archives of my articles, how to join my Patreon community, where I frequently tease various things I'm working on. You can follow me on a variety of social media platforms, including X, Threads, Telegram, Mastodon, and so on and so forth.
I don't see Blue
A lot of
Sky
different
on here,
platforms.
brother. There's no Blue Sky on here.
He's
I can
hesitant to
already.
support.
It's already a struggle managing posting on 4 different platforms. Please, I am. A lot of people are asking me to post on Blue Sky. I am considering it, but understand
Sky
that it's not
Ridge.
easy to cross post to
Yeah,
as many platforms as I do.
I would never pressure you to post anywhere because you are so busy, man.
Yeah, so if you want to see me keep up doing that kind of work, please join the Patreon community and subscribe so you can see what I'm gonna be working on next, because there's a whole bunch of features and upcoming things that are happening in the world of Android 16. There's so much to talk about.
Heck yeah,
Right.
get the exclusive news, the inside scoop.
Well, as far as we concerned, there is the one, the only, the bestest, Ron Richards.
Thank
Ron,
you.
what you doing?
I just, on behalf of Android Faithful, I'll just remind you to go to androidfaithful.com, and if you sign up as a paid supporter on that website, you can block ads. So there you go. We were talking about ads earlier. You can get rid of those
Right.
ads by supporting
Heck
the website
yeah.
directly. Or you can go to androidfaithful.threadless.com and get the new Leaky Peeky t-shirt just in time for the holidays. So get one for yourself and for your family.
Hold on, Ron. Is that a new article I saw on the website?
Is it? Oh, yes, it is. In fact, over on Android Faithful, Mr. Jason Howell posted the review of the Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Plus,
that
which is
up.
right alongside my review of
Nice.
the Lenovo Duet 11. So
That's
11 inch.
right.
Yeah,
So much stuff.
there we go.
Very
We're
much stuff to
trying. We're doing our best, everybody.
Doing our best.
So.
We're all making it work.
So much.
I also
for
like
you.
the fact that Jason has ad blocker on AndroidFaithful.com right now because no ads are loading, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
that must be that. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Game
Ron.
sees
Here, let me,
game. I
let
see
me-
it. I see
Oh
it
dang!
happening.
Oh let me. Oh
the
dang! Oh
show.
let me. Oh god!
Oh no!
Oh. All
Now,
right,
if
let's wrap
only
this.
Android. If only Android Faithful had a ROG phone.
If
review
only
up there.
we had a
Only.
ROG Phone review. Yeah. So someday.
All right. And I'm Huyen Tue Dao. I'm a developer. Find me on randomlytyping.com where I talk about Devi stuff. Find me on Mastodon and on Blue Sky at Queen Code Monkey. You'll just type in, you'll find me. But yeah, Mastodon and Blue Sky. And if you want to see me work out, go to Instagram. But that is it. And that is us. That is another super full, super packed in anticipation of Thanksgiving. We stuffed this show with all the goodies, all the stuff, and all the fill-ins for y'all this week. But that's it. We publish this podcast every Tuesday evening. If you want to listen in live, youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show or twitch.tv/GoodDayInternet. Subscribe at androidfaithful.com or support us on Patreon at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. And write in with all your quibbles, quandaries, and recommendations. Contact at androidfaithful.com. And stay safe out there. Have fun. And we'll see you next time on Android Faithful.
Peace.
Little wire. I'm a robot. Actually, this is my oxygen tank. Take very little oxygen.
Oh god, these are shiny.
Yay! We did it.
Hooray!
Woo!
We did it. That was a
We are
packed
still
one.
alive.
Yep.
That's
One
fine.
more day of living.
Yep. All right. Let's do
Sometimes it
titles.
feels that way. TV is the place to go to peruse the many titles that have been submitted.
So many.
Show very many, including at the top spot, a three-way tie, Android 16 DP1 Sneaky Peeky, Chromebook by Android. Will the real Jason Howell please QR up? Nice, nice
that.
one.
Nice.
K9 and Thunderbird had a baby. Gemini can't shop. ChromeOS going green. X mode going.
Escalate your. Oh,
What?
sorry. Yeah, I was gonna say escalate your photography is just
Escalate
so on the
your
nose.
photography.
It makes me sad.
X mode gonna give it to you. Samsung shows specs of new specs. The Google malware detector. Leaky Peeky AF. Sneaky Peeky. Android 16 DP1. Oh boy. Google will kill Chrome OS. Samsung ban 1 Plus. Huh? What am I missing on that one?
I think he's referring to the the
OnePlus.
import ban.
Oh,
BOE
the
thing.
import
Yeah.
ban. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Android Borg swallows ChromeOS. I'm real. Here's my Android QR code.
I like that one.
Snapdragon X Elite phones double as stoves.
Yeah.
The phone with air trigger is pretty snappy. No doubt about gaming phones with pizzazz. Nice.
It's wordy, but I like it.
Yeah. Google Phone Chaperone. Ooh, that's got a nice ring to it.
It
Stuffed
does.
show. Very true.
I like the sneaky peeky variation.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It might be appropriate to
Yeah,
have the
sneaky
sneaky peeky in there.
Android 16 sneaky peeky.
Yeah.
I like the polls for naming the shows. That's fun.
Yeah, it's a cool.
fun
Yeah.
idea. I like that. Good.
We can't take credit for it. This has been in place in the DTNS family before us. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Android 16 sneaky peeky.
yeah,
Maybe just remove DP1. I think
yeah,
it's
remove
floating out
DP1.
that way.
Yeah, just Android 16. Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Android. And is Peeky Peeky?
Peeky, not Peaky.
Because you've gone through this whole
I have.
Oh,
I've been through
peek,
very iterations of spelling peaky.
Android Snixteen. Android 16 sneaky peeky. Snixteen.
That's the Wolverine version.
I think you are underestimating the amount of sneakiness, sir.
All right, we did it. Yay.
Good job, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everybody,
Adam, for
for
joining
voting.
us. We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Adam.
Thank you, Adam, for being here.
I wish I could have done more, but oh.
You
Next
did.
time, leave them wanting more. Leave them wanting more. That's
That's
what you're
right.
doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. I guess.
so-
No, I'll get you the written one whenever I get the phone in.
Yeah.
And then
And thank you, those of you watching on Twitter, because we have close
Yeah.
to 1,120 live streams.
That's crazy.
no.
Yeah,
Twitter,
it
go home.
really, yeah, it's really effective doing the live stream on Twitter. Love it or hate it, it's really effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there we go.
Anywho.
right.
Okay, we're gonna close this up because it's already late. Thank you everyone for being here. And tomorrow morning, AI Inside with me and Jeff Jarvis. Just saying.
Tune in.
There you go.
Continue it on. you know?
Yep.
Do it.
All right. Bye everybody.
All right. Take
See ya.
care.
Bye.